for Flex Tape, the super strong waterproof tape.
Hey, you're finally a...
Welcome, travelers. This one name is no, Cesar, no, Ini, Sajir Kale, yeah, Sajir Kale. Sadly, in this occasion, I do not have any words to sell, but you know what? Since you come here already, I'll have something I want to share with you. That's right, it's a recipe. An old family... no, sorry, I cannot do this anymore. I clearly do not have the voice actor material, yeah. So let's keep going like this, shall we? Okay, first pour the flour on the working table and form a hole in the middle. Remember, it has to be wide enough to contain all the liquids. And then just add pretty much the rest of the ingredients, the water, the yeast, the oil, and the salt. And finally proceed to mix all together to form the dough. In this particular case, I needed a bit more of water, that being 100 milliliters. Now that the dough is formed, we just start to knead it and fold it. That process is necessary for the dough to rise properly. Since it has a lot of liquid, the dough is gonna be a little sticky. So to help yourself, use a very little amount of flour to prevent it to stick into your hands. And then we just let it rest for around 10 minutes. Okay, what we're gonna do now is just separate the dough into pieces. One being 3/4 of the total dough and the other one, well, the remaining quarter. You will see why later. Then, as you can see, we put the big part within a small bottomless mold so it keeps the desired shape. Then stretch the small one and put it beside it. Finally, we leave it there to rise until it gets 3 times its size. It was around 2 hours for me. Certainly, we cannot call it a cheese fondue without cheese, right? I'm gonna use here 4 types of cheese. It's gonna be Edam, Gouda, cream cheese, and Parmesan. But that's just me, you can use whatever cheese you want. I start by shredding the ones which are in a bigger block, so it gets easier to melt. And then just leave them there for the next step. Now, as I said, when the dough gets 3 times its size, just cut its own garlic bread mixture, but in this particular case I am gonna use Argentinian Chimichurri that I made a few days ago. Both recipes are in the description. Finally, we get it in the oven for around 35 minutes. And be very careful because the oven needs to be very hot. I mean over 200 Celsius degrees. 220 to be exact. Placing a bowl with hot water into the oven and below the dough will help it to span properly. After it gets out of the oven, we need to let it cool for around half an hour and proceed to cut the bread, just like I'm showing you here. Taking the top of the big piece, also the dough in the center, and cutting the smaller piece into smaller pieces. I'm just gonna coat some more of the chimichurri onto the big piece base and putting it back to the oven along with the other pieces, so we get a very crusty and tasty pieces of bread for the final result. Okay, finally, the last step. For the fondue itself, we mix the cornstarch and the white wine very well in a jar or any container. Then add in a pot the leftover of your garlic bread mixture, again in my case is chimichurri, and let it cook it for a bit. Next add the starch and wine mixture and just mix it until the alcohol in the wine evaporates and the mix starts to thicken. You can also add some heavy cream or whole milk and let it simmer before adding the cheese, but that's optional. Now that the mixture is boiling, put the heat to the minimum and add the mixture of cheeses, piece by piece, chunk by chunk, not like I'm doing right here, okay? And just keep mixing until it gets smooth and homogenized, like this. Prepare your taste buds, traveler, for you are going to experience one of the most... no, I cannot. I'm out. Bye.
Our hero claims a warrior's heart. I tell you, the dragonborn comes with a voice wielding power.